In the coming hours, senators will be sworn in as jurors for the second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump. With me now is one of those senators, one of those jurors, Democratic Senator Bob Menendez. He will also soon become chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Thanks so much, Senator, for taking the time this morning.
Good to be with you, Jim.
So a lot of open questions about how this trial will play out. The first one on witnesses. Will you call witnesses? Will the House managers call witnesses in a Senate trial? Do you believe they should?
Well, that'll be up to the House managers, but I would assume that they will call some witnesses. At the end of the day, there are many elements to what is being alleged that would have to be proven. I know that many people say, well, we were all here, we were all eyewitnesses, so to speak, to what happened. But what preceded that day in terms of the attack on the Capitol, what was said, what was done, what was the organizing, those are all elements that I think may be very well worthy of witnesses, as well as other information that has come out. So I will assume that the managers will call some witnesses.
How long should this trial be, in your view? What's sufficient? What's too short? What's too long?
I wouldn't put a numerical number of days on it, Jim. I think that it must be a trial that ultimately provides justice. Justice both to the defendant, in this case President Trump, justice to the American people in terms of what they suffered on that day. And the ultimate question is Donald Trump guilty of inciting an insurrection against the United States.
As you're speaking, I should note to our viewers, the Senate Majority Leader, new Senate Majority Leader, speaking on the Senate floor, Chuck Schumer. Our colleague Caitlin Collins had a moment with the president yesterday, asked him about the trial. He said the trial does have to go forward, but he does not believe that 17 Republicans will vote to convict. You've heard a number of Republicans say similar publicly. I wonder, you speak to your Republican colleagues, do you agree that that's a closed issue?
Well, it remains to be seen. I would just simply say that if the loyalty is to a party or an individual versus to the Constitution, then yes, the answer, there will be no 17 Republicans to join us with Democrats on the question of impeachment. If the question is loyalty to the Constitution and the oath that's taken, and you come to the determination that there was an incitement against the United States, and therefore the president would be guilty, then there should be more than 17 Republicans. And this is really beyond President Trump. This goes to the question as to whether any president can seek to usurp the powers that we have in our checks and balances of government, and ultimately could it incite an insurrection against the United States and get away with it. And that, I think my Republican colleagues will have to decide on.
Have you spoken to Republican colleagues privately, without breaking confidence, who've told you that they're open to voting to convict?
Yes, there have been some who have said they're open to convict. We'll see. I mean, even the Republican leader, Senator McConnell, has said the president is, actually incited what happened on the Capitol. So if that is the case, then I assume that his comments would flow to a conviction.
The president is eager to move forward with his proposed economic stimulus plan, as is the Senate leadership, Senate Democratic leadership here. Does not appear you'll get to 60 votes necessary. If not, do you support moving to reconciliation, where you would only need 50 votes plus the vice president to break the tie to pass major stimulus legislation?
Look, there is an absolute crying need in the country for the type of stimulus that President Biden is speaking of. I have too many New Jerseyans who are out of work, too many New Jerseyans who fear that the knock on the door is their landlord trying to evict them. Too many New Jerseyans who, for the first time in their life, are on a food line at a pantry. Too many New Jerseyans who are concerned about getting their kids to school. And that is replicated throughout the country. So we will need to do what is necessary in order to get that relief to the states, to our people, and to the country.
I wonder if that were to happen. Of course, President Biden spoke very highly of bipartisanship here. If stimulus cannot get through with a bipartisan vote, does reconciliation, do 50 votes become the norm for other parts of Biden's agenda, including on immigration, for instance, which is one that is very high in your own list of priorities?
Well, look, reconciliation is not something that can be used all the time, and it has its rules. So at the end of the day, the question of stimulus, of trying to overcome COVID, to get the vaccinations out there, and to get the economic relief out there, is an imperative. My hope would be that there could be a negotiation. I've negotiated many deals with Republicans, both national security, foreign policy, and even domestic issues. But if they are unwilling to, if the question is not to see the president succeed at the cost of the American people, then reconciliation needs to be seriously considered as the pathway forward.
Final question. 7 of your Senate Democratic colleagues are calling for an ethics probe into 2 of your Republican colleagues, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, for their role in the insurrection, their alleged role in inciting the insurrection. Do you support that ethics probe?
Well, that's a question for the Ethics Committee to take up. Several of my colleagues have made the decision to use that vehicle as a way to express their deep concerns about what Senator Cruz and Hawley did. We'll see how the ethics process plays out.
But do you have deep concerns about what Cruz and Hawley did, and do you believe that they should be sanctioned for it?
Well, I do have deep concerns about what they did. The process as to how that should be dealt with may not necessarily be the Ethics Committee.
Understood. Senator Menendez, we appreciate you taking the time this morning. Wish you the best of luck.